This is Tin Pod Radio. I'm Rick Shea from Famous Faces and Funnies, Comic and Toy Store in Melbourne, Florida.
So to start things off, y'all want to tell how this came about, you podcasting and doing the show to begin with?
Really, it was Erin. She made a Facebook plea that she really wanted to do a podcast, and everyone was commenting, and then as soon as I did, and I said, I'll do it with you. We forgot about everybody else.
Like, screw the rest of y'all. Just Jordan.
And then we had to narrow it down off of your list.
Yeah, because we didn't have any clue what our podcast would be about.
You sent me a picture of you doodling what it should be about. And one of them was like your family. I was like, well, I can't podcast about family.
Well, I mean, now you could. You've got, like, dog children.
Yes,
and
that's true.
A man-child. And
That's true. But I was like, ooh, crime would be fun.
Right. And then originally it was going to be about, like, crazy crimes, like really bizarre and funny things.
Yep.
But then we were like, actually kind of like serial killers and horrible
Because all
stories.
crimes are crazy, because we're not.
Right? Because we are normal and we wouldn't commit them. So even if we are horrible people.
So y'all didn't like do research on other podcasts. It was just something you already had an interest in.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I've listened to a bunch of podcasts.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, that sounds like fun. I like to talk and hear myself talk. Let's do that.
And then we realized how many two women podcasts about true crime there are.
Yeah, pretty much.
But
all just women sitting around
Yeah.
talking over each other and talking about crime.
yep, but we didn't want to change it, so
Right.
we had already started.
We have a logo and everything. It's official.
Yeah, there is quite a few, but it seems like most of them are pretty unique, though.
Yeah, I think everybody kind of has their own thing.
Yeah,
I think our thing is just being a little bit stupid. I don't know.
we don't have like one specific thing.
No.
And y'all don't seem to go after like the big name ones as much as other people do either.
That's true. And if we do, it's more for like a special occasion episode.
Right. Right.
But it's always stuff we haven't heard of normally.
Right. Because, well, my reason for doing that is I don't want to sound so totally stupid.
Well, some of them are so in depth, like
They really are.
it would take us our whole episode to talk about like one
thing.
Yeah.
Right. And we like to do like 3 stories. So.
Yeah.
Did it take you long to come up with the format? Because y'all have a little bit of a format the way you do it.
Yeah, it did. The first few we didn't really have a structure, but then I think after talking to your mom, she's the one who said,
Oh, yeah.
I like when you end with like a short, nicer one.
Right.
And we
right.
were like, okay, mom.
We'll just do that. Well, and then we sort of played around for an episode or 2 with not doing that.
Yeah, and
then
it
just
felt weird.
right back into it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Our problem was we started out, we were like, okay, it's going to be under an hour. Like, let's aim for 45 minutes. And now every time we record, it's like, oh, well, there's an hour and a half worth of material here. We're going to have to cut something.
Yeah, I think most people end up doing that. The first couple of things you'll say is like, oh, 1, I'm going to keep it short. And 2, I don't really care what it sounds like. And then you end up getting really picky about the sound, and then you end up making them really long.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
So, like, has there been any that y'all picked and one of you didn't really want to talk about?
Okay, so there was, I don't think so, and especially not any of the ones that have, like, gone into the recording.
Yeah.
We had a guest on one of our episodes that was a young woman, and she had a couple of things that she was very uncomfortable with, and I think our stories kind of touched on that, but she didn't tell us until, like, a week afterwards, so it felt really bad.
That's true.
But she was fine. It was just a little bit triggering for her. And then
I think I like filter when I'm reading stories, and I'm like, no, I don't want to talk about that. Like,
Yeah.
before I even bring it, I filter it out and like, nah, it's too close to home this week. Like, I don't want to talk about that.
Right.
So I think I filter it before I bring it.
Well, and I think that we know each other well enough that we
I mean,
kinda
there's
know
things
what...
that you talk about that I was like gagging.
Yes. But I kind of like that.
Yes.
How uncomfortable can I make Jordan? Well, no, there was the one episode that we recorded the day that Cam was here.
Yes.
And I ended with a story. I had an extra story that didn't make it into the final, like, cut for the episode.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was like, it was a very interesting discussion, but it was about bodily fluids, and
Oh,
it
yeah,
was
we got
just
into,
a
like,
little too much. And at one
Yeah.
point, we were like, you know what? Let's just stop recording. We'll finish our conversation, and then we'll come back and finish the episode
Yeah.
after we talk, because it was just a little much for what we were doing
Yeah.
for our moms to listen to.
Was that the one where I think you were saying you were getting sick?
Quite possibly. I think it was around the time that you and I recorded the shortlisted episode with the foods, because it also had to do with food. Yeah, it was really, really bad.
Yeah.
So, but that's for like, I think our Patreon supporters are gonna get that part of the recording.
Yeah.
It's gonna be one of their prizes. So
Because we got into a heavy
Sorry.
debate about things.
we did. Well, it was very interesting. It was just,
A little too much.
a little much.
So did y'all start? I think you told me once you started your very first episode was on just recording on the phone, right?
Yeah, we recorded on my phone for a while.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot we did that.
Yeah, we
We've come
did.
so far.
We did, and then we bought a little mic that was like a compressor mic.
Yep.
And
And
that
it picked
was-
up everything.
It picked up everything. So I have 3 dogs. It picked up every bit of them. I've got 3 children and a husband. Picked up every bit of them.
Yep.
Like the ice maker.
Yeah.
So now we have graduated and we have like actual equipment.
Yep.
We don't know how to use it, but we have it. So
Learning.
I'm slowly
Not
learning.
me, but you are.
Yeah, if y'all end up doing it in 2 different locations, you both have to learn though.
Yes.
I know. She has to teach me.
Yes. Well, and Jordan travels all the time anyway,
I
so
know.
like that's gonna any week it could be, hey, I'm not gonna be home this week. What are we gonna do? So,
I know. I need a lesson.
So I love the what was it? Not the last one. Was it the last one where you popped back in and you thought you weren't gonna be there?
Oh, yeah. I know.
not the one that came out today, or yesterday, the one that came out a
Yeah,
week ago.
27.
Oh, I'm sorry, that was totally my dog. He wants to jump in my lap, but he can't because the table's in the way.
He's very scared. But yeah, I let Mike and Aaron talk, and I just kind of sat here and hung out because I was like, well, I'm not out of town. I might as well just hang out. But then I had to comment on some things.
I swear I'm not hurting my dog. He's just being stupid. Yes.
Yeah, I thought it was funny. I just pictured you jumping on from off stage, being like, "I'm here."
I did. I kind of like ripped the mic out of Aaron's hand and was like, okay, first off.
When I was editing that, I had to turn down your ha 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 because it was so loud.
I
It like
know.
crackled.
Yeah. Good.
So, what's been like the best thing you think about when you started the podcast?
I get to see Jordan all the time again.
I know. I'm over here all the time.
Because she used to live here. She lived
Yeah.
here for years, and then she moved out, and then I never saw her.
Well,
and
it
that
was like
weird.
years, and then I moved out, and then I came back.
Then she came back, but then she moved out again.
Yep, and this is the longest I've been out.
It's true. Pretty much since
Not
I've
to
known
make
you,
this sound like
actually.
prison, though. The longest I've been out.
What was she, a stray you found somewhere?
Yes, pretty much.
That's pretty accurate. No, she's a former student. She's my husband's former student.
Yep.
And then she was our nanny.
Yeah.
And then she moved out, and then she moved back in
Yep.
just as a roommate, and then she moved out again.
I think you were out of town, and I called crying, and I said, I need somewhere to
Yeah.
stay.
And I thought, sure, she can stay for a couple weeks, and it was like a year.
And then I was like, I'm sorry.
No, it was great. It's nice to have more women around.
I know,
'cause
you're
it's
surrounded by
just me. Sophie totally doesn't count. She's only 2.
Well, that's true.
Was there anything you found that's a lot harder than you thought it would be when you first started?
So,
Oh, go ahead.
what? No, I don't know.
So after the first handful of episodes, researching things that don't sound like what we've already talked about.
Yeah.
Like we just had that kind of like not problem because each story is different, obviously,
Right.
but finding something that's not similar to what we've already talked about.
What-
So
The one we recorded yesterday.
yeah, it was
It
like.
was like a repeat of the one from
Yeah.
the week before.
But then my story was almost like a repeat of
Of
what your
what I was
story was
doing
that day. So it was. I mean, each of them have their own little side. I don't know, like differences. But
Yeah.
it's just, that's getting hard to find.
Right, and sometimes just coming up with inspiration. Like, we love it when
Mhm.
people are like, do a story about a Peruvian llama. Although, your story about a smart Florida crime, yeah, we're still working on that one.
Yeah, that's gonna be a hard one to find.
So, I was going to say, I didn't realize how many hours I'd be spending on social media, just like
Oh,
promoting
yeah.
and having conversations.
And I'm
being
so
parts of
bad about that.
groups.
Like I forget about social media sometimes, so I always have to be like, oh shit, wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tell people that it's like it's not even a matter of just uploading an episode. I gotta upload it and I gotta go on all these sites and post and all this stuff and
Yeah. Well, and we maintain the website, which so I upload it to Podbean, and then I have to go over to the website and make a post there, and then
Yeah.
we have to get it on our Facebook page. A lot of those things are sort of automatic, but I don't feel like the automatic ones anyone reads because they're very obviously automatic posts.
Yeah.
So then I feel
Yeah.
like I need to go post it again, and so
So, who takes care of the social media, or do you split it?
Erin does most of it because she's more of a Twitter person than I am. I'm
Yeah.
really bad at Twitter. Facebook, we kind of both like hop on and off.
yeah.
And Instagram, it's
You
kind
do pretty much.
I would say,
Instagram.
but you catch it first because I feel like,
Well, I'm always on my phone.
but I feel like I'm so bad at like switching profiles back and forth.
Oh.
So then like I'll think about it and be like, oh shit, I should go check.
See, and I don't usually even put my personal profile on there, which is why sometimes my
Oh.
kids get posted to our podcast
Oh.
Instagram because I don't realize I'm not signed out of that one.
Yep. But
Um,
you do a lot on Twitter.
I do a
which-
lot on Twitter, but I'm on Twitter with work. and,
Yeah,
like,
that's
I'm just on Twitter all the time.
See, and I'm so not. I'm only on there to
No.
like.
Well, if it wasn't for work, I would never be on Twitter.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
not a good like personal social media.
No.
So, have y'all had any episodes that were just like not bad, like say your first one that you said you haven't released, basically like that, but an episode that just didn't work at all and you didn't end up releasing it?
No.
I think we've released everything. Our preview episode, which was like
The sound quality was
it was so bad.
horrific.
Like people wouldn't want to listen to it.
No.
But I think Erin has done a great job. Even at the end, we're like, wow, that really sucked. Erin has done a really good job editing it to release it.
So that we can pretend that we're cool. No, there are definitely a couple that I am less proud of that we have released, and there have been a couple where we've had some major sound problems, and I'd be like editing and crying at the same time. But,
Yes.
but that was what we had for the week, and we have never ever missed a release. So
That's true.
Which is a big deal because I, at one time, tried to do that, and now I'm basically like, I get one episode of each show out a month, and I ain't guaranteeing when it's coming out.
this month, yeah. No, I have worked really hard. I've definitely the only one that technically was late once we decided to release on Tuesdays, because that was another thing we didn't know
Oh,
right
yeah.
away. But once we decided to release on Tuesdays, there was one that was 2 hours late because I was at a conference in a hotel room editing until like 2 in the morning, and that's when I finished. So that's when I released it.
And that doesn't even count because you still released at like 2 a.m.
I did, no,
So,
but it was 2 hours late.
Do y'all usually only record them one at a time?
Generally, at first we recorded
Yeah.
a bunch right away.
yeah.
And there have been a couple
It kind of
times when there's been
depends.
like vacation.
Yeah, when we try to plan ahead. So summer was really hard. When I was on vacation, and then you were on vacation, and then I had something family related, and
Yeah.
that was hard. So we did like an extra to buy us a week.
Right. And then we used it right away.
Yep.
We were like, we'll just hold this one in reserve. And then we were like, oh wait, it's time to use the reserve.
Yep. So
And we'll probably have to do that coming up here too, now that it's getting close to holidays. And actually, we were
Yep.
talking about it yesterday about possibly sort of doing an end to season one, taking off for the holidays, just so that, you know, I don't think there's going to be a ton of listening going on then anyway.
probably
And then
not.
just come back after the new year.
Yeah, I did that with one of my shows, this show, basically, because it's it's an interview, and then the next episode's a chapter of an audiobook story,
Right.
and I rotate those. When I got to the end of the last one, I took a month off from it, which I think
Right.
was good, because, it's a lot just editing over and over and over again.
Yes, editing takes so long. And one of these days, I'm going to teach Jordan how to do it,
Yeah.
and she can share. At the moment, the way that she participates is I text her and tell her she can't go to bed until I'm done editing.
yes. And I stay up with you as soon as I get a laptop that can handle more than just 2
Right.
Google pages at one time, because that's what I'm working with. Then I'll download all the goodies and I'll be like, I'll edit for you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
I really like editing. It just
Yeah.
it just always seems to be Monday night at 9 o'clock, and I'm going, I'm ready for bed. Oh crap!
you never have enough time to do it as good as you want to.
Well, and I just get so, like, if I do it in one sitting, I get so tired of doing it and listening to the same parts over and over that I don't always go back and listen to the whole thing, which I really should do, but I just never.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, no, that sounds good. We're going to go ahead and publish that.
Had either of you before did any kind of like podcasting or anything like that before?
No.
No.
Never.
No.
So y'all just jumped right in?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I would say Erin's the one who posted it, and I said, okay, let's do it.
Right.
It's both very new territory for us.
Right.
So
Yeah.
what was the initial response like when you released it? I know a lot of people make the mistake of like wanting huge numbers starting out. How was y'all's when you first released?
So, we didn't really know what... Okay, how do I say this without putting us down?
We were pretty sure no one was going to listen.
So we were excited that anybody listened.
Right.
So we would tell people about it. I feel like everyone I told, I was like, yeah, well, we're starting a podcast. They were all very shocked. They're like, oh, that's cool, or oh, that's weird. Like,
Right.
what? And I was like, yeah, you should listen.
Right.
But I think any numbers were good numbers. So now we set little goals.
Right. I remember, like, when we hit 100 downloads, we were like, oh my god, 100 people listened to us. And then, like, our next goal was to get
Yeah.
somebody from every state. And
Yep.
then
So we would start, like, directing crimes to different states.
Right, we do
Or
that.
I would hunt them
no
down.
one in West Virginia has listened. So, West Virginia, what's going on?
There's probably some coal mining crime up there or something.
Oh, definitely. Well, and how many times did you do Maine? You did Maine.
Oh, I did
4
Maine
weeks
a
in
lot.
row.
I know. I was like, I'm coming for you.
But we now have all 50 states and a ton of countries. Like,
Yes.
places I didn't think they listened to podcasts.
I know.
Because I know nothing about anything.
Yeah, sometimes you develop like weird pockets almost in a way. Like me, with everything I do, I've always had this for years, like this kind of following in like up in Russia and places, which is weird to me.
Right?
Because I'll get emails and I have to somehow translate them with like Google Translate and stuff.
Right. You're getting this garbled message. We had, for a while, Germany was catching up to our U.S. downloads. When we did the Armin Maivis
Oh,
episode,
yeah.
we had like this big like boom in Germany for a couple of weeks.
Yep.
And it's like, what? Wait, I don't know anyone in Germany. I thought only our friends were listening.
Yeah.
Has anybody that you know personally surprised you with like, oh, I listened to your show?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All the time. Like, my family is not a very tech or modern type of family, I would say.
Right.
And my sister was like, oh, yeah, I listen, and that's so funny. And I was like, ew, what? You listen? Oh, all right. And then I was like, note to self, be careful what I say.
What I say. And my friend from like growing up, her mom was like my second mom. Like I used to
Oh, yeah.
leave my house and go stay at her house because I was fighting with my mom, but I liked her mom. And so, yeah, not somebody that I ever would have thought would listen. And then she's like texting me, oh, I really liked this episode and I heard about this and I think you should do this. And I'm like, what? What are you? No, this isn't your thing. What are you doing? And now she does like wine and crime, and that's why
Oh,
we
yeah.
drink and all the other ones.
Yeah, I just started listening to Wine and Crime after you recommended it to me.
Oh, they are so good.
Yeah, seems like it's pretty good. So how many, it's a question for both of you. Do y'all listen to a ton of podcasts?
So I do not listen to a ton of podcasts, but Erin definitely does.
I listen to a little bit of a bunch, and then I listen to several really
Yeah.
regularly. So Wine and Crime, and That's Why We Drink. We both listen to all of My Dad Wrote a Porno.
Yes, that's probably the only one I like actually followed through and listened to all of
To
it.
all of it. Did you ever listen to any of like Serial or?
Little bits and pieces of it, probably with you, but
Yeah.
I just
And
now
I used
that
to
I
listen to a lot of the like how stuff works and what they didn't
Yeah.
teach you in history class.
yeah, I
and-
guess I've listened to that stuff before, like what your mother didn't teach you or
Yeah.
tell you or something like that. But I have not listened. I haven't started anything new. Now that I'm done with my dad, I'm gonna start something new.
Oh, by the way, that reminds me that I have like set up a play date. Should we ever go to Florida with the Moms and Murder podcast?
Oh,
women?
that's cool.
I was like, oh, you kind of sound like us. We should hang out. And also, we'll have to hang out with Brian, but I don't know because some of our shortlisted episodes, you know, he thinks I'm a murderer, and I think he's going to poison me, so...
Okay, note to self, don't eat around either one of you.
I just won't tell you what's in the food.
Yeah, that doesn't make it any better.
Until after we're done, I'll be like, oh yeah, you just say, you know, Rocky Mountain oysters.
Or long pig.
Ew.
That's a long ew.
I'm a very picky eater anyway, so...
Jordan only eats ketchup. That's it.
Hey, I eat more than that now.
Today she posted on Facebook that she ate spaghetti sauce or spaghetti squash, and
Yep.
that she liked it.
Yep.
And I was like, hey, Jordan, I think your account got hacked. That's not something you would say.
Yeah, that's pretty good, actually. I've made that before.
I like it.
I tried it for the first time today.
I've cooked for Jordan for like 3 years, and she didn't eat anything. I
No, I was like, you didn't cook for me. You cooked for everyone else, and I just didn't eat
You
it.
did your own thing.
I'd
Yeah.
be like, don't worry about me.
Right. I still, when we cook, we're like, oh, well, you're coming over. We're having, like, I don't know, nachos for dinner. And you're like, I'll just stop at Wawa.
Hey, I wouldn't turn down nachos.
Well, you missed out. That's what we had last night.
Aw.
Still going after a Wawa sponsor.
I
Yeah.
need to.
She spends enough money there.
Everyone knows me. I know them. I'm like, hey, last night I actually stopped her on the way home because when I'm home by myself, I hate cooking and like
Right.
dirtying the whole kitchen for just me. So I stopped there and got a sandwich, and the girl was like, is this enough lettuce for you? Because she knows I'm gonna ask for extra lettuce. But I mean, I've known her before Wawa, but still, it was just funny that they know me wanting extra lettuce.
She says funny. I say a little bit pathetic. It's just, you
It's
know,
great.
perspective.
I love it. I like being a usual.
Right. She's a regular.
It's like Norm on Cheers.
Yeah.
So, with you talked about earlier being so many like podcasts with like 1 or 2 female hosts and stuff in the crime podcast. Why do you think that is the case that there's so many female hosts that choose to do these shows?
So I don't know if you've ever listened to Moms and no, that's a lie. To My Favorite Murder. There we go.
Mhm.
It's really late. I'm tired. 8:00. No. My Favorite Murder talked about that a little bit, and what they said kind of made sense to me. Just like if you talk about it enough, then it's not so scary because you feel like you might actually be prepared if some crime should
Yeah.
happen to you.
Our biggest thing was that we liked crime dramas.
Yeah, that's
So we were like, well, this is an easy transition because we've
Right.
already liked Criminal Minds and stuff like that,
And we're
right?
practically experts in the field because we've watched Criminal Minds so much. So, I mean, that and like magic, I could
That's,
just
yeah.
take over the Harry Potter world too.
That's like watching like Top Chef so much that you go in the kitchen and you're like, I'm so inspired, and you make like mac and cheese.
Right. And it poisons you. I don't know. I think though that I wouldn't, like, as a woman, I don't think that I would find a guy doing a true crime show. I think it would be a little uncomfortable to me.
Hmm.
I feel like most criminals are men. I mean, statistically, they are, especially
They're just the
violent
ones that get
crimes.
caught.
Well, that's true
No, just
too.
kidding.
But and I don't know. I just feel like I don't know.
I don't feel like it would bother me if a guy had a true crime podcast type thing. I think it would just be kind of cliche that they're talking about something violent and like stuff like that. So I think that's why maybe women are like, well, this isn't taboo because I'm a girl.
Right. Yes, that
Yeah.
exactly. And also, like, I understand where a woman is coming from when she talks about crime, but I wouldn't like empathize with the perspective of a man.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Do you think like you were talking about with the female doing the show, that when they laugh or there's comedy involved in discussing it, it's almost cathartic, but with a male, it's almost maybe mean-spirited or like not as good?
I think it definitely could be that way, and it might feel that way even if that wasn't the intent.
It would definitely be a different dynamic, but I wouldn't not listen. Like, I would probably listen to see how they present each, each story and how their attitude was towards it.
Well, it'd be pretty cool too if it was like a man and a woman.
Yeah, to
Just
get
to
both
kind of
sides
get
of
both
the story.
sides, right? Yeah, I don't know. I notice there's always, well, not always. There are a lot of female-hosted crime, like true crime podcasts where
There are a few male ones though.
there are,
I
but
just
like the
wanted to
female
say
ones
that at
tend
least.
to be like humor, a lot of humor.
Oh yeah.
Because I notice in podcasting groups, people saying, I don't want to listen to the comedy. I just want to hear about the crime. But I think it's because we just are sort of uncomfortable about the whole thing. Like, there's no
Yeah.
other way to...
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, I think so too. Like, I don't really like podcasts that are too formula or too straightforward. Like, I want
Yeah.
to hear two people who, for the most part, get along and discuss something, no matter what it is.
I think it depends on the content, too, though.
Mhm.
Because, like, Serial was one that I listened to. I just listened to the first season. I haven't listened to the second one. But that one was very serious. There was no humor in it, but it was very good because it was sort of like an expose and like a mystery that they were solving along the way. And so that was, it was just a different format. But I think I do definitely tend to go toward, like, these are a bunch of friends hanging out and laughing, and
Yeah.
I wish that I could hang out with them, so I'm going to listen to them podcast.
I think it's just easier listening.
Yeah.
Is there anything you actually learned about each other while doing this?
I don't know. I feel like Aaron and I have known each other and lived with each other a very long time.
It's true. Have I learned anything about Jordan?
I don't know. I mean,
She
I
won't drink with me when we podcast.
no. Well, that's mostly because A, I'm not a very big drinker. Like, it takes a lot for me to want to drink.
Yeah.
And two, it makes me so tired, which is why I'm not a big drinker.
Right,
And I'm gonna
right.
fall asleep already driving home at night. So
Right. No, it's true. But we have podcasted at your house, and you didn't drink
that's
there.
true too.
Of course, I didn't either. I had coffee. But
Well, yeah.
still.
Well, that's probably because I would have fallen asleep, and I already yawn a lot.
You do. I think it's a nerves thing.
I think so.
She yawns through the whole episode while we're recording it, and then I edit out all the yawns, but then I yawn the entire time editing out the yawns because it triggers a yawn.
Say yawn one more time.
Yes.
Well,
I
I
think
know.
we now know what makes each other when I'm writing a story, I know I'm gonna be like, "Ah, this is gonna make Erin gross. Like,
Yes.
you know, like,
This
or
is
she's
gonna
gonna
piss
make,
Jordan off.
yeah, like, I think I know that now, but.
So y'all pick stuff you know is going to aggravate each other.
Get a reaction from
Yeah.
the other person. Yeah.
I'll be like, oh, she won't expect this. Like, I always
Right.
think, because we don't know what each other's stories are until we're already on the podcast
Right.
recording it, so.
One of
You-
these days, I'll do the same story.
I know, it's gonna be really fun.
I'm excited.
Have you ever did the opposite? Like you find a story, but you're like, I don't think the other one would like it at all.
I don't know. I think I picked a story that made me so mad. I was like,
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm gonna get through this. It's making me so mad.
Well, and you tend to pick stories with like really stupid criminals.
Yeah.
And then I pick stories that are maybe a little bit more gruesome most of the time. And there
Yeah.
have been a couple of times where we've showed up not having discussed it, but my story was about a stupid criminal and yours was more gruesome. And
Yeah.
so it was like, I guess maybe we were both trying to trick the other. I don't know.
I know. We secretly balance it.
Right. Really, we're just the same person. And I'm recording both parts right now.
Well, I had y'all totally flipped with voices. Like, until we first started recording Shortlisted, I was like, I had you totally flipped with who's who.
That's so funny.
I don't think we sound all that different. Sometimes I'm like,
yeah.
I'm pretty sure that was Jordan. Yeah, that was Jordan.
Well, I think at the very beginning, I was there for a second. I was like getting confused, but once it got going and you learn a little bit of hear the personalities, you tend to
Yeah.
identify who's who.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Plus, I interrupt more. My mom hates that.
Yep. I'll say your mom even said that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had people say it about me, and I'm like, yeah, but you want to like jump in.
I have something to say.
But that's another thing about your podcast. Like the editing's pretty much seamless. I think.
Well, thank you.
She does a very good job.
I work really hard at it. Although lately our goal has been to like minimize the editing. So we're like,
so we'll
okay,
sit down. Yeah, one take.
like when I couldn't even say my own name.
That was great.
We're like, we're gonna do it in one take. My name is
Eric.
Crap.
So I won't like ask you which is your favorite episode because I know it's actually hard to remember episode numbers and stuff. But what was your favorite story each one of you done?
I'm trying to think favorite as in like I liked the ending or favorite as in it pissed me off so much.
I'm gonna cheat and pull up our episode.
I
Maybe
think the
maybe
one
favorite in like which one you think turned out to make the best episode. Maybe.
Oh. See, as far as story, my story that I picked, I think equally pissed me off, but also I think he's still rotting in jail, was The Love Surgeon.
Oh yeah, that one.
That,
is-
like,
oh,
really mess with, like, women productive rights. That makes me really mad.
Right.
I think that one was probably my favorite, but
I liked. Which one have I told that I really liked?
I hated your cannibal.
I agree, but at the same time, I was like, holy crap,
I
I've never
know.
read anything like this before. Yeah, no, that one actually still gives me like an upset stomach.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say I really liked the one you really hated his name, Murdoch Mitchinson.
Oh,
With
yeah.
the thief that was like living in the woods.
That one was like cute, but also made me really mad.
Oh, it made me so mad. You were like, I can't even stand his name.
Well, your last one was really bad, and I was like, I kept thinking about that. I was like, I would have just killed them.
Right, with the priest.
Yes.
Yes.
I could not handle that.
That one was super, super upsetting. I still haven't watched that Netflix series just because I know it's going to make me mad, but it's probably really good.
Yeah. I think my favorite ones go off of how mad I got. I think my all-time favorite one, happy one, was when we had our friend Mike here, and we were talking about all things dark-sided.
Oh, that one was hilarious.
That one was very fun.
And then what wasn't in that episode is afterwards we tried to make a Ouija board and contact the dead, and it did not work.
Well, yeah, of course. It was like scrap paper and like a piece of a pizza box. It really was.
No, it wasn't. It was a cat food container.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Not any better.
So you should have recorded that for your Patreon.
Well, we did record it, and then at one point we were like, just throw the planchette and see where it lands. Yeah, it was so boring that I think I just deleted it.
I don't know, yeah. We just kept throwing it. We're like, okay, T. And then we throw it again. We're like, H. Oh my gosh. We throw it X. I don't know.
Right. Well, at one point they were like, Aaron, close your eyes, and you put your hands on the planchette and move it around, and then Michael write it down, and then he's like spelling out words, and I was like, holy shit, are you serious? And they just laughed.
It was funny.
So, a couple more things before I let y'all go. And once again, thank you for agreeing to do this.
It's fun.
Yeah.
We're having fun.
Yeah.
Is there one thing y'all would like to do better that you think you can improve on?
I feel like I could definitely get smoother with my storytelling.
Well, I feel like the same way, though.
Yeah.
The different stories, I feel like I say it smoother than others.
Right. And I find that it doesn't really matter if I've told the story to other people or if I've read it a bunch of times
Like
or
practice
typed my
it.
own notes. Yeah, that doesn't make a difference because when I go to do it, I want every detail in there, so I
Yes.
still refer to my notes.
Yeah.
And I still have to think about it and go back. And so I need to figure that out.
I don't know. I feel like when we talked about it earlier, the whole inspiration thing when researching, that really bums me out because I'll spend hours looking and then finally find something and I feel like I'm settling.
Yeah.
But I'm not. Like, I'm interested in the story. That's why I'm writing it down. But
right.
I
And
mean,
it always turns out to be better once we, like, tell it to somebody else.
Yeah, that's true.
But, yeah, definitely that.
How much research do you each do?
It varies.
Yes.
A lot.
Because sometimes I'll see something and that just sparks something for me, and I'm like, I'm gonna find a story involving a love triangle because I was watching Twilight. So I said this works out great. I found one, I wrote it down, I was done in no time. And usually I do it the morning of, so it's fresh in my head. And normally I could be done with that like before my cup of coffee is over. Other times it's like almost 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm not finding anything, and I'm texting Aaron, and I'm like, I can't figure anything out.
I'm like, let me just say some random words until one of them sticks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, and sometimes, there have been how many occasions now where I've been like, either don't come over or come over and just be quiet because I haven't finished my story.
Yep.
But there have also been days when I've like had my story for a week, and there was one time that you did too. You had it for a week. And you were ready to go.
Yep.
So, like, with the episodes when y'all do research and everything else, is it ever, like, I know as a writer, there's sometimes I do research and stuff, and it's not, like, a great thing to be researching, and y'all are doing true crime stories, and, like, afterwards, it's almost, like, draining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I know for me, I don't think if I start reading it and I'm like, oh, this is going to be just too emotional or too much.
Yeah.
I'm not going to want to tell the story. Then I don't read very much into it. The ones that I read all the way through to the end and start writing notes on, like, I'm pretty interested in the story.
You gotta pick and choose what
know
you're gonna
I'm gonna
invest
be.
yourself in.
Yeah.
Because, like, my last story I told, it was a bunch of short little articles, and I'm like, there has to be more to the story, which made me mad, and that's why I wanted to do it. Because I was like, there has to be more. So it was kind of opposite. So then finally I found the longest article ever. It was like explaining the clothes everyone wore each single day of their lives. I'm like, okay, I don't need all this detail. I just need to know why.
When it rains.
Yeah.
But I don't know that have you ever researched a story where afterwards you're like, oh my god? Or have we done any episodes where we ended and we're like, well, there have been a couple of stories that
Yeah.
like you've told me that I've been like, okay, well now I'm thoroughly depressed.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think it just depends because I don't know. I think it depends on what's going on in our lives at the moment.
Definitely.
So, like,
And that doesn't make it a bad story.
No.
It's still a really good story. It just doesn't have a happy ending.
yeah, sometimes they, like, I don't know about, like, drain me, but sometimes they put me in, like, a funk. I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
And then that's why if it's my time to have two stories, I always try to find, like, a silly or funny second one
Right.
to kind of lighten the mood for myself and you.
Do y'all have any subjects that are just like, we're not going to do it?
We haven't discussed it, but I definitely have subjects in my head that I won't talk about.
I really, really hate anything involving children.
I know, and I always talk about it.
Well,
Sorry.
and it's okay if it's like, I feel like a lot of the times it's like they killed the whole family including the child, or they killed the whole family including the dog, or
Oh, yeah.
and that's super tragic and horrible. But when
Yeah.
it's like detailed, I know Wine and Crime did an episode and they were talking about these. I think it was Wine and Crime. They were talking about children that had been tortured, and it was just
Oh.
so
See, I
detailed
couldn't
and
do-
so graphic, and I couldn't.
Yeah.
And I did one time look up. I was going to do a child abduction. I was thinking like
Yeah.
Lindbergh baby kind of thing, and I started looking it up, and I was like, no.
The only
because
one I did was that one girl who was in captivity her whole life and had
Right.
children in captivity because it ended up, I didn't know, but she ended up being not famous, but,
Right.
you know, it was like a nationwide case for a long
Well, and
time.
she got free.
Yeah,
She
and
had
so there was
happy
a happy ending, so that's why I think I decided to do that. But there are other things that I'm like, no, I want to avoid that.
I don't think we do a whole lot. I guess my last episode did have like rape and stuff in it, but
Yeah.
we sort of steer clear of that most times. I think.
Yeah.
And,
That's true.
I don't know.
I don't like when animals get hurt.
No.
Yeah, most
Like-
people are like that though. Like,
Yeah.
other people can die. Kill the dog or the cat. No.
Yeah, I was like, don't put the dog in your killing plan. Leave the dog alone. Well, that one guy who killed the whole farm just because the dog.
Well, and I had a dog that he like killed the dog and then he killed a neighbor because they found out. I don't remember how it went.
I don't
But
know.
yeah, I don't
So-
know. I don't know if there's anything that's like totally off, like taboo.
We've never talked about it. I think just personally, we kind of decide.
But also, Criminal Minds is super dark, and we've watched all of that. and
That's
so
true.
It's like, well,
I was watching that today.
I'm jealous. I haven't done anything today. Just work.
So when are we going to get the shirt that says "Crime Rules by Crime Crazy" so y'all can list all the ways of committing crimes, right?
Oh, gosh.
So
I don't want anyone using that in the court of
No.
law and bringing it in and be like, is this yours? I'm like, oh no.
Well, so was it the story that's coming out on Tuesday?
I think so.
That's what I did. Yeah. So you'll have to listen to the episode that comes out Tuesday because
yeah.
that's kind of what the character in my story did.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think that I have learned from her.
Yes.
No. But I do think that we need to send you a shirt that says, but the quilt.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the
Yes.
quilt. Oh, that lady.
Yeah, I want
Doing that.
I want a shirt that just has somebody knitting a little quilt.
Yes. Just piecing together t-shirts and other clothing.
Bloodstained t-shirts.
Yeah.
She's like, I don't know.
For some reason, that one just stuck with me. Like, it was one of the first ones I listened to, but it was like, I don't know why, it just stuck with me.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned it a couple times on Shortlisted. I know you mentioned it
know.
like on Twitter. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did too, and I was like, guys, she's crazy, trying to get away with it, and they were like, okay, but the
But the
quilt.
That's gonna be one of y'all's taglines forever now.
That's right.
I'm gonna make a quilt.
You're gonna make a quilt that just says "but the quilt."
Yep.
That's your birthday present. You just don't know it yet.
Okay.
Y'all could like make a little bitty ones and give it to people, and it just says like embroidered on it, but the quilt.
I can't believe we could never find any photos of the quilt. Surely there's a crime scene photo of the quilt.
I know, we have to dig for that.
I have, and I have not found anything.
Dang.
So when it comes to like merchandising and stuff, a lot of people automatically jump into that type of stuff. Have y'all really thought much about it, or are you just not there yet?
I ordered stickers.
Yeah,
I
honestly,
really wanted stickers.
stickers and anything else we've kind of looked at.
Yeah,
But-
I made a shirt.
Yeah, I would say that we haven't ordered anything but stickers and maybe
Well,
like the
I would have made the stickers too,
Yeah.
but our stupid logo has a thumbprint on it, and to pick out.
she means our awesome logo.
Okay, it's awesome. It is awesome. It was really hard to get,
Yes.
but to pick out all those little pieces was way too much work.
Yeah.
Is that telling who made it by the fact that you're calling it awesome?
We just spent a lot of time with different people trying to make this perfect logo, and we hit a very big bump with the first person
And the second person.
who just did not want to listen to us.
No.
And just thought they knew what we wanted.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
when we finally got one, we were so excited that I was like, this is our logo, like forever.
Right? We'll never change
We're so excited.
Because our first one that was headphones, it was like, oh, that's just some clip art from like a logo maker.
Oh, yeah.
And then we ended up paying a couple different people because like one woman
Yeah.
made us like an icon that we really liked, but it wasn't the logo. And so then we took that and we were like, okay,
Yep.
make this into a logo. So, oh dear, there must be a spider or something.
It's a
in my house.
mosquito, sorry.
Oh, okay. Jordan's like swatting at things
Sorry.
and throwing her shoe around.
They like me too much.
So, before I let you go, what do y'all think about the future of doing your show? What do you look forward to?
Probably,
Episode 42.
Oh, yeah, I know. You're excited for that.
I just really hope that we keep, like, I've been really impressed with us that we haven't missed a
Yeah.
release day, that we have recorded every week, that we've,
Yeah.
you know, at least
stayed
come
on
with
track.
good stories every week, even if,
Mhm.
like, we've had some other kinds of issues. So I hope that we can keep doing that, especially, like,
Yeah.
if we do have to do some of them over Skype or...
That's true. I feel like we'll still be able to make it like a specific date and do it. I think it'd be fun to see our numbers grow more.
Yes.
Because right now we keep setting these like little milestones, which I mean they're not little. They're like
They're super impressive compared to the 2 that we had the first week. And
Yeah.
we're like, oh my god, 2 people downloaded.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, wait, that was just our iTunes verification.
So I think that's exciting to see the numbers like grow and check it and be like, oh, look
We're
at it.
like the definition of slow and steady. Like,
But it's
every
great.
week it is going up, but it's going up by like 2.
Well, y'all being like, I mean, it's proven by statistics with podcasts, like, if you do one on a regular schedule, your numbers will tend to go up more and more.
Right.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
It's been working so far.
I mean, I feel like we have some people fooled. They seem to keep listening.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I think, like, y'all's podcast, if y'all didn't, like, tell anybody, they think it's been around for years and years, because it sounds very good, it's done very professional.
Well,
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. I was like, that's a good compliment.
So, like, with this podcast, do y'all ever think about doing any other kind of podcast, or y'all think this will be, like, the only one you would do?
No.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I feel like one day we'll say, let's do something different.
Yeah.
I have that feeling.
Well, and so we did the whole true crime thing, and then when I started really learning about it, there were so many.
Yeah,
It's
there's a
huge
lot.
saturated genre. And so I have sort of thought, what else could we do? But I feel
Yeah.
like now we're established. We know what we're doing.
Yeah.
We really enjoy it. So
I feel like one day it'll just be our preference to be like, you know what? I'm just done talking about the same stories.
right.
And then we'll switch it to something new and be like a foot in the door.
Right.
Because we'll have like a following already.
or like a spin-off. We could do
Yeah.
a spin-off.
And just be like, alright guys, we're just switching a little bit.
I don't know what else I would do though.
I don't know. I feel like life will change enough for us to figure something out.
Maybe.
So, Aaron, you're doing a second one. Is Jordan
Yes.
thought about doing a second one?
I'm not.
thought about it.
Oh, I don't know. Probably not. I wouldn't. I just dedicate myself to one. I'm such a busy person, and I hate ever being like, Aaron, I might not be here this week. We gotta figure something out. I hate doing that.
That's
So-
what I do to Brian, and it's only once a month, and every single time I'm like, so it's gonna have to be a little later.
I know, like, because I try to plan things around being here on Tuesday night, and then I'm like, we can leave Tuesday night after the podcast or Wednesday morning. Or I'll be like, I have to record early with you, so we have it.
Right.
But I don't know if I'd be able to do two. That would probably make me crazy.
So the deal between me and Brian was
Mhm.
that I would do a podcast with him as long as he wanted to do all of the editing and all of the publishing and all of the work. And all I had to do was show up.
Well, because you do all of that work for us.
Well, so you need one where you have to do all the work.
No, because then I'd leave you. I'd be like, all right, it's my turn.
Yeah, but the thing she did was the very first episode, you were like,
I know.
but I want to do a website and I want to do this, and I was like, okay, if you want to do it, you can.
You go for it. Yeah, at that point, I had another project that I was putting off. I could be super productive here.
Because there's a reason why all my stuff is under one Facebook, one Twitter, and one. It's because
It's
Mhm.
definitely smart.
yeah, it's everybody says it's branding, and then it's like, no, I've tried to keep up with multiple websites and stuff like that, and I can't like have 6 Twitter accounts.
You should just be like, yes, it is branding.
Yeah, I already have 2 Instagrams, and I'm all the time screwing them up.
Well, yeah, me too.
So thank y'all for doing this. I had a really good time, and I really enjoy y'all's show.
Thank you.
And I guess I'll be like waiting for Aaron to come back for the next episode of Shortlisted when she calls me. Oh, do you know your Facebook called me 3 times?
What?
Your Facebook account, it called me as a phone call.
It called you as a phone call?
Yeah.
I didn't know it knew how to do that.
Yeah, it did.
Cool. I just missed you so much. I wanted to make sure you were okay with the hurricane.
Yeah, I survived.
Sorry.
No, I never knew it could do it either, but it was like, you had 3 missed calls, and I'm like, wait, Facebook can call me?
Right? Why do we pay for cell phones? I don't get it.
Yeah, so, again, thank y'all, and I hope y'all have a rest of your good night.
Oh, thank you.
And it's nice getting to talk to you, Jordan.
Oh, yeah, I know. I was like, I'm so nervous to talk to him. I never have.
I was like, no, he's totally nice and completely chill, and it's not going to be scary at all.
Yeah, the only thing is hard to understand me when I'm a hillbilly and stuff.
Oh, my gosh.
Whatever.
So, yeah, y'all have a good night.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye.